I gotta say, I watched the Fresh Prince reunion, and I loved it. It was so great. It was so moving. And I wanted to ask you. I know folks are talking about the reunion between Will Smith and Janet Hubert,
Yeah.
but she had said something really powerful. She had said the challenge of this industry being a black woman, being a dark skinned woman. And I wanted to know for you as a brown skinned woman, have you experienced that colorism in the industry in that way? Because when she said, "I have so many actor friends," they were like, "Oh my God, she nailed it." Of
Mhm.
that kind of challenge. Have you experienced that? What's been your journey with that?
My journey has been some has been it's interesting. Some has been there's been colorism, but colorism, it's funny, you assume that colorism only comes from, the white community, and that it's sort of like put upon us. But there's also colorism within the black community. And so, I've experienced that. I've experienced, and I wouldn't even call it, I don't even know if it's colorism or if it's like, are you black enough?
Oh
That
wow.
kind of stuff. In life, in work for sure. What do you just make it a little blacker, or I recently, this is recent, where a character description said, she's unapologetically black. And I remember, and I'm like, that's an interesting thing to put in a description. I know what that means, you know, when I'm talking with friends, but how, as an actor, what cues are you trying to give me? What does that mean about this character who, happened to be like a corporate person, who I'm like, what does that look like to you? What does that sound like? What is that? So, I've dealt with those things, and, my um, personal beliefs about how I would like to represent, sometimes they don't match. I've come across that. You know, I know I heard when Janet said that. I know that other people have said that about her. I've seen that in social media, but I didn't know that she felt that way. When we were working on the show together, I mean, we always talked about how beautiful she was. She had, you know, makeup and hair people that were there for her. When she does that amazing dance sequence,
Yes,
like,
of course.
the leotard she was in. I hope that, I don't know. I hope that she knows that for me as a young girl, like, I saw her with a spotlight on her. You know what I mean? That's how I thought she was being represented on the show. Um, you know, she was, in terms of beauty and, black beauty, and as a young black child, um, I thought she was radiant, and I thought I thought the spotlight was on her, and that was something that I wasn't used to seeing. So I hope, I don't know, I didn't get a chance to tell her that at the reunion, but if she hears that, I hope that gives her some comfort that for the things that she went through, she meant a lot to a lot of people, to young people.
Yeah, I have a friend of mine. I was watching the reunion with my friend, and he was saying it was a big deal for him as a kid. I mean, to see someone like Janet Hubert in a mother figure on television. And we love all the other black moms that we've seen on
Hmm.
TV, but I remember him saying, like, that was a big deal for me to
Hmm.
see her as beautiful, gorgeous as she was, intelligent, to see her as this mother figure. So yeah, it was fascinating when I was just so happy she was so vulnerable, because we've had these conversations, some folks might say recently, but
We,
it's been going on for a long time.
it has, colorism conversations have been going on for a long time, and they're very delicate. It's hard to have that conversation like out in the open when sisters haven't had that conversation, together. And I've even been involved kind of unknowingly in projects that, you know, they're going to talk about colorism, but then at the same time, they like further divide us, and like continue to rank you as like, I did it. I did an interview, a part of something where I thought that all of the dark skinned girls and light skinned girls, like we were all going to, or so called brown skinned girls, whatever, we're going to be in the same project talking about this experience. And what ended up happening was, you know, I was put into the stories were split, and I was put into a light skinned girl thing. and
Mm.
and and there, you know, so people obviously talking about it, social media, whatever, like, she thinks she's light skinned, doesn't she know, and you know, at one point even like an academic chimed in and said, well, her features are you know. And so I could see the Eurocentric features, and I was like, oh my god, this is so hurtful. Like, we're talking, you know, you're a part of you're in a conversation in public about something that's very personal. You know, my mother would be considered a dark skinned woman. My youngest sister would be considered light skinned. I'm somewhere in the middle. My cousins, you know, like, this is real stuff that happens in families. And, and, but in while talking about it now, we're going to separate, we're going to further, we're going to put the stamp. You know what I'm saying? Make the stamp official, while you're going to break apart my features and the features of other people involved in the storytelling, in order to, are we trying to prove that it really does exist after all? Or are we trying to say that because the truth is, it's a construct. Like, the truth is, it's not real. You know, it's not real. The judgments that we cast based on appearance, those are
Yeah.
false. They're based on false things.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so it's very, very sensitive. It's very sensitive. And I also hope, anyway, that's it. That's what I have to say about that.
No,
You didn't
I
know you were opening up a can of worms, did you?
no, I appreciate you. What project was that, or do you not want to say what project it was?
It was dark skinned girls
Uh,
and light skinned girls. That's what it
yeah,
was. And I know that project means a lot to people, and
sure.
I'm happy that it does. But it was disappointing to me to, I thought that I could speak on dark skinned girls or light skinned girls, just like I think a light skinned girl can talk about, because it's not real. We're
Mm,
all Black women, you know, we're all women under an experience, having an experience, you know, what it's like to be cast into these categories.
yeah.
And yeah, I thought that was disappointing that we were separated in the project itself and I don't know who decided what category I was supposed to be sorted into.
Oh, so you didn't even know it would be separated with, I think I saw that dark skinned girl. You didn't know to be separated in that way, like two
No,
kind of,
I no,
wow.
I did not. Now,
Right,
I'm not saying that anybody, you know, fooled me or whatever.
right,
Maybe
sure.
I didn't read the fine print. My
Right.
assumption at the time was like, oh my gosh, I definitely want to talk about that. I have feelings about it and stories. And yes, I really thought that I could speak to both. I had no idea I was going to be sorted.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. One more quick question. Do I have this right? Is your husband Dr. Vaughn Raspberry?
Yeah,
I read his book.
you
Yeah,
did.
yeah, well, I'm a Black Studies major. Well, I'm degreed in Black Studies,
Oh,
and raised
yes,
in the totalitarian century. It's
yes.
really good the way that he talks about how Black folks in the anti-communist movement, they managed to like insert racial justice. It's really, really good. So shout out to your husband,
Oh
Dr.
my
Raspberry.
gosh, I will tell him.
Yeah, yeah. Although I graduated years ago, I try and keep up on that kind of stuff. New scholars coming out, and it came out 2016ish or so.
Yes.
So yeah, just shout out to him, and yeah. And you're a Harvard grad. He teaches Black studies, and
Yeah,
spreading the
he's a
knowledge. So
professor. He's a professor of English, and he at Stanford. And but yeah, that book actually was released the same time as our son was born. So I have my son and the book together, same picture, like both his babies were born. Um, and yeah, it's a new imagining, a new telling of American history, really, of that
I
period.
really, if you appreciate especially Black history, I really encourage folks to read it because it was really, really good. And I've never seen it, being broken down in that way. So shout out,
Yeah.
Raspberry.
Yeah, race in the totalitarian century. Oh, that'll
Yeah.
make you feel good. I'll tell him.